Hello, everyone. I'm Lena Cisco, and tonight we're going to profile Caseyanthony, a mother who was acquitted of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Caylee, due to a lack of evidence. Tonight, the profilers are going to give you our analysis of some evidence to this unsolved murder case. I'm joined by my fellow profilers, Susan Ibitz, Janine Driver, and Michelle Dresbold. And although some of you know us already, but for those of you joining us for the first time and are new to our channel, we're going to go around the horn and give a quick introduction as to who we are. So Susan Ibitz, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan Ibitz. I'm a human behavior hacker. Some people hack computers, I hack humans, and my specialty in this team is face reading profiling. Like Michelle says, I can know absolutely everything about you, but just looking at a picture. Janine, tell us about you.
I'm the body and language expert here at the Profiler Task Force. I'm the author of You Say More Than You Think. It's a New York Times bestseller, translated in 15 languages, and the author of You Can't Lie to Me. Over to you, Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Dresbold. I'm the author of the book Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. And I do personality profiling through handwriting, threat analysis, forgery detection, and anonymous letter detection. And now to you, Lena.
Thank you, Michelle. So I am your interrogator and your statement analysis expert. I am a former Marine Corps certified Navy interrogator, and I interrogated members of Al-Qaeda and Taliban down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, shortly after 9/11. And I am also a former Navy intel officer, and I am the author of You're Lying. So, okay, thank you, ladies. Let's get into this case. Have you ever had the gut feeling that someone was just not being truthful to you? Someone lied to you. Someone was guilty of something, even murder? Well, the reason why your gut is sending you those messages to your brain is because it's picking up on something. But most times we ignore them because we just don't understand them or where they came from. As profilers, we can see those messages and we decode them. And that's what we're here tonight to do for you. So let's take a little bit of a quick background look on this infamous case, focused more on Caseyanthony than the victim, which was her innocent 2-year-old daughter. All right, guys, so tonight we profile Caseyanthony. I'm not going to give you an in-depth timeline because if I did, we'd be here for hours. So what I do want to do, though, is highlight some key points and just orient us to this case. On June 16th, 2008, that's the last time that Casey's parents claimed they saw Caylee, her daughter. Now, Casey said, because she went missing for a month, that she dropped Caylee off at the nanny, Zanny the nanny, who we now know never existed, and then claimed that this fictitious person kidnapped her daughter. On July 15th, Casey's mother, Cindy, she's had it, right? She hasn't seen her granddaughter in 31 days. She calls 911 and says, I want to report a missing child, and my daughter keeps giving me excuses as to where she is. The next day, on July 16th, authorities question Casey and they uncover all of these lies that she says, and they arrest her for lying. In August, a meter reader finds a bag of bones, but police do not search the area until December 11th. This guy has called repeatedly to say, hey, there's something suspicious by this meter reading in the woods. And cops came out once, I guess, and didn't take it seriously or just didn't do a full search until December 11th, when they did, and they discovered it was Caylee's remains. And so a medical examiner did an autopsy on the remains, and unfortunately, he could conclude nothing from that on how she died. So he said, cannot be determined with certainty the cause of death. April 13th, 2009, prosecutors announced they are planning to seek the death penalty for this case. So let's talk about the trial. Here's some highlights. The defense attorneys argued that Caylee accidentally drowned in the family swimming pool and that Casey panicked and hid the body because of the traumatic effects of sexual abuse by her father and brother. I have no idea how the defense attorney bridged being sexually abused and then panicking, hiding the body of your dead daughter. Who comes up with that, right? And this was a lie as well, because the father, both her parents testified and said, no, that's not what happened. And they do an interview just a couple of years ago that also state there was no drowning in the pool. She wasn't in the pool that day. But due to a lack of evidence, in July 2011, she was acquitted of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter of a child because of a lack of evidence. Here are her lies. There was no Zanny the nanny, and that was proven. She never worked at Universal Studios, and that was proven. She also stole money from her friend, and she wrote bad checks and falsified identification, and she was charged with petty theft. Okay, this is not an upstanding citizen here. And according to her father, he did not find Caylee in the pool, nor did he sexually abuse his granddaughter or his daughter. And today he says he wants nothing more to do with Casey, and that he is certain she knows what happened to Caylee. And you know what? So are we here at the Profiler Task Force. And you're going to see our evidence tonight when we get into it. As an interrogator, I will tell you this. I want to know, where did Caseyanthony go after she and Caylee left her parents' home on June 16th? Why did she wait a month to report her child missing? Now, there are reports that says she wanted to take matters into her own hand. Why? Why would you want to do that? Because you're hiding something. And then why does she get Bella Vita tattoo, beautiful life tattoo, on July 2nd while her daughter is still missing? That's crazy. And then what was she doing besides partying while her daughter was missing? Now she says, well, I wanted to take matters into my own hand by getting tattooed and partying, right? And there's pictures, there's evidence to back this up. And then finally, what happened to Caylee? Because this trial is all about Casey, and it's all about clearing her name. Where'd the focus go off of what happened to Caylee? And why don't we see Caseyanthony trying to find out, or hear her talking about wanting to find out? Her focus was all on protecting herself, not finding her daughter. So tonight we're going to give you more insight into Caseyanthony and this officially unsolved murder case. But before we do, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the people who are watching us. I want to thank our subscribers, and I want to thank our Patreon members. If you don't know what Patreon is, we are going to provide you the link at the end of this segment. Patreon is a paid subscription service where you guys get to get a little up close and personal with us, but you also get some really good material, educational material, because what we do is we give you videos every month on stuff that we do and that we train law enforcement, government agencies all around the world. You also get opportunities to win free coaching sessions with us and our books and some other cool things. So let's get into Caseyanthony, a mother who was acquitted of murder because of a lack of evidence. And I'm dying to hear the evidence that the profilers dug up on this case. Michelle, let's kick it over to you first.
Hi, why don't we look at some of Caseyanthony's handwriting? Let's look at the first slide. Hello, before I begin, don't forget to press that subscribe button. Now, why don't we look at some of Caseyanthony's handwriting? Now, this is a letter. You see the cookie letter. The cookie letter was one of her letters when what she wrote while she was in jail or prison. And the very first thing you may notice is what we call bubble gum writing. Bubble gum writing is also we call middle zone. There's no high, there's no low. It's this rounded middle zone writing. You will find this type of writing if you go to middle school. 90% of the young women have this kind of writing. It's very bubblegummy. It's like, oh, am I pretty? Am I cute? It's get through 8th grade handwriting. Usually this writer, when you see it in an adult, is a little immature, self-centered, me, me, me. I also want you to look at this cookie. One little thing about it, we have it's called a vertical paragraph line. Now, most of her handwriting is past that line, but the cookie crosses through that line. What is that line? That represents the line of society. You see somebody and they kind of disregard the paragraph line. They're disregarding norms of society. Why don't we look at the next slide? Okay, now, this is Caseyanthony's statement to the police. And I'm an artist, and I want you to look at this as if you're looking at a painting. And I think the first thing you'll see is it's just consuming. It's like there's no space. It's as if the whole, I call it a picture, is condensed and the writing doesn't leave any space in it. Now, when you see somebody and they leave no space in their handwriting, they leave no space for anybody else. It's as if they suffocate you. It's them. Ideally, you want handwriting that has some space, some order. Like I said, I could turn this upside down and you would get the same picture as it is right side up. So no space between writing means the person leaves nobody else any space. Now, let's look at the next one. Now, if you think you look at her handwriting, it might look very readable, but it's actually not. And I want you to look at two letters in particular, the O's and the A's. O's and A's are the communication letters when you look at handwriting. You think of an O as a mouth. The more open it is at the top, the more that person likes to talk, can't keep a secret. And the more closed it is, the more you have a good spy. Now, if you look at these O's and A's, you'll notice the first O is a little strange, kind of open, but something's wrong with it. You move over to the second line, we just see the CA of Casey. The C goes into the A underneath. It's completely closed. If you think you want someone to keep a secret, Caseyanthony can keep a secret forever. Now, I took a few of the O's out of context, and you'll notice there's a line that slashes through it. When you want to see what a liar's handwriting looks like, you look at their O's. In an O, if there's a slash through it, it means we call it a forked tongue stroke, and you're dealing with a liar. It's almost a guarantee. Why don't we look at the next slide? What I did here was I just took that first O and N out of context. Again, when you take handwriting out of context, especially if it looks readable, this is not sloppy handwriting. It's allegedly readable handwriting. But when you take things out of context and you absolutely can't make out what it is, you're dealing with a con artist. Why don't we go to the next slide? Okay, now this is Caseyanthony's signature. We'll notice a few things. First, let's notice in Casey, the A is enormous. When you have enormous A's, it means lowercase a's. It means, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. That person, A for attention, wants a lot of attention. Again, if you look inside that A, there's a little weird, we call it a stinger. When you have these stingers in handwriting, you have somebody who either refrains from sex completely, but if they don't, they can't stop. So it's all or nothing. We look at Casey, CA, where's the E? It's before, if that's an E, it's before the S. Again, con artisty. We can make out CA. We think we have another letter, S. What's going on? But in the middle of Caseyanthony, where you have a Y, you have actually a big X. And the last name is completely made into an X. When you have X's in handwriting, and we will see this again and again, you deal with somebody who's either Xing themselves out or has the thought of death in their head. So, and if you ever hiring somebody or they're an employee and all of a sudden their handwriting becomes X'd out, you need to put them on suicide watch. So you always want, and sometimes somebody's married and they put their first name and their last name, they just X out. I'll sometimes say, is that your last name or your married last name? And they'll say married last name. And I go, I have a brother who's a good divorce lawyer. So you want to look for X's in handwriting. Why don't we look at the last slide? Okay, what I did here was take words out of context. Again, when you look at her handwriting, it looks overly readable, overly decipherable. But when you take words out, now some of you may be able to figure out a word here and there, and that's fine. And somebody said, I can figure out those words. The point is, if you have to figure it out, if the person leaves it up to your interpretation, you are dealing with a con artist. Now, you may or may not believe it, but if you want to protect yourself, look at the handwriting and see, and this isn't messy handwriting that you can't read. It's readable handwriting that you think you can read, but in reality, you can't. And that's your con artist, and that's Caseyanthony. So that's the handwriting.
Michelle, that was amazing. So this is what I picked up. Liar, all about me, and Xing someone out. I don't think you could have been more spot on. Ladies, do you have any questions? Janine, do you have any questions for Michelle?
No, but I have open loops on my O's, so I know that I'm not good at keeping a secret.
Right. We're not going to make you a spy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a good spy. No. That was awesome, Michelle. Thank you. I learned a lot.
I have only one question. What happened with people who have aphasia or have a neurological problem and the side of the body that used to write is affected and the handwriting changed it, and it looked one way before when nothing happened, and now look like they try to deceive it, or it's not even clear to their own person to read it? How you read on that case?
I'll use this as an example. If somebody has a stroke, handwriting will show whatever goes on physically or emotionally in a person. Ideally, handwriting is not a guessing game. The more I know about the person's physical state, the more I can interpret correctly.
Great, thank you.
That goes along, Michelle, with what we do as well. And especially as an interrogator, I have to know the context of the situation, because if someone's coming to me and they are so nervous, I have to figure out, well, this guy just got off a battlefield. This person was just in a car accident or went through a shooting, you know? So it's all about context. I like that you said that. All right, so we are moving on. And next up is Susan Ibitz, our face reader. Susan, let's hear it.
People is fascinated with symmetry, so we're going to do this time, but I'm going to show a sign, like the idea of the show is protect you, a sign of warning of this connection when somebody is disconnected from reality, and she's a kid case. So let's go to the slides. Okay, ladies, this is the part we want to be analyzing the subject. Like you, Lena, I confused Casey with Caylee, so in order to not make a mistake, I'm going to regard to her as a subject. This is her picture during the period when her daughter went missing. There are a couple of things that I'm going to mark too, so you can pay attention. People love symmetry, so we're going to work on that subject today too. That is her face. That is the two left part of their face. The left part of your face has to do with your personal life, has to do with your right brain. Now, we can see on her personal life, she was kind of military. You see the straight chin? We see a chin without not indentation, not a team player, not a person in consideration. We see pointy eyebrows when we are in the triangle shape. As people who want to be right is my way or the highway. I want to be in control. I want to be right. It's what I say, how I say it. I'm never wrong. I want to prove you wrong. You're not going to prove me wrong. Another thing that she have winged eyebrows. Winged eyebrows, we call it when we have thicker hair on the beginning of the eyebrows and it's go thinner, meaning it's people who's really good at starting things that no follow through. They're coming with these huge dreams. I gonna be, but I don't have the bad will or the goodwill to conduct to the end. I can get really excited in the beginning of a business and a beginning of a relationship and a beginning of any project, but you're always gonna find these people never finish painting the wall of the living room. They never finish a school. They never finish anything they do, except that we have another features who helping. But in this case is I think I'm right all the time. Doesn't matter what you tell me, and I don't finish anything then I start. Now we're gonna go to the two right side. That has to do with external wall. She was, you see the tip of the nose that she have around? She was really creative. But again, we're gonna see the two lines on the mouth, and she's smiling here, but on the other pictures that I saw, she had the two corners. Like you, Michelle, I found out about the secrets. She's playful. She know how to get away because she have that Bambi eyelids, like, oh my God, I'm so nice, I'm so innocent, I'm so cute. I playing the cookie, like you says. I playing the girl who's nice and is approachable. So she was really good being playful with others in order to get away. When she talks, she's really playful. She was really playful and still really playful to how to get away with that. Now, we're gonna do the comparison. most of the things that we can read on her face, there are things that we had written in other cases. But this is the one part that I think that we need to be paying more attention, because in order to be safe with ourselves. I know what I'm going to show you now is a mugshot, but I found a few pictures about her on the same situation. What you can notice in this picture, guys, what is odd in this picture when you're looking at her?
Lots of white in her
Yeah,
eyes.
3 whites of the eyes.
So what is, beside face reading, what is the first impression when you see a person with this look?
Shock.
I don't know, vampire. I don't know.
She is mentally disconnected and aware of her actions. She have like a switch. She goes from these Bambi illuminated eyes, blinking like, oh, look at me, I'm so pretty, to like, where are you?
Susan, she is aware or is not aware?
She is not aware. She's out of control. She's unaware of their action. It's like she going to a mental break and disconnect from reality.
Susan, did you white out her eyes, or was that her real eyes?
I never ever retouch a picture to be presenting. The only thing I do is divide it with a program that it's give me exactly division, but I don't retouch in any way any pictures, because I wanted to help you to read in reality. That is her in some point of her life. She does go from connected Bambi eyelid, I'm so cookie, I'm so nice, I'm so pretty, to I don't know where am I. I'm like disconnected. I'm checked out from Earth. I'm on the space.
And
So-
can I, oh, I'm sorry.
No, tell me.
Are the circles of her eyes small? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that much white around somebody's eyes.
There are 2 ways to watch on the eye white part. You can see on the lower part of the eye, you're going to see a lot of white. It's a person that is disconnected. Now, if you see white part on under the eye and on top of the eye, usually you're going to see that on cases of head concussions. I've been training first responders to determine when you need to like either take the person like ASAP, or people in buildings and security, and a lot of people who's geriatric, who start getting Alzheimer or their dementia. You're going to start seeing when they have periods of dementia, you're going to start seeing the lower part of the eye white and the upper part too, because they get disconnected. That happened when you have a context. But what happened when a 20-something years old who just disappeared her daughter on the same period, showing the lower part of the white eyes? And I found it in a couple of pictures. I didn't want to put 17 pictures. I just wanted only to concentrate. When you see a person who have the lower part of their eye showing more white than it should normally, pay attention, because you're talking with a person who is unaware, neither your reality, her reality, or what is going on.
Susan, that was fascinating. So I have seen what I call the 3 whites of the eyes in my interrogations, especially after something traumatic has happened. I saw it in Gitmo. I've seen it in criminal investigations. And at that point, the person is mentally checked out, most likely because they have just been through trauma, and I can't interrogate at that point. I can't even get real information because they're so checked out. But that was fascinating. Ladies, do you have any questions? Michelle, do you have any questions for Susan?
No, I asked my questions, but I'm looking out for that white of those eyes.
Well, do you know, Susan, and Lena and I've talked about this too at the Body Language Institute, that O.J. Simpson did this same thing with the eyes, the whites of the eyes, when asked if he wore Bruno Magli shoes, which were the shoe print at the scene of the crime. And he said, I would never own those ugly ass shoes. Then he's shown a picture and he's walking on the field, right? The football field. And what's he wearing? Those quote unquote ugly ass shoes. And you see not the 3 whites, you see all 4 whites of his eyes, right? So in my world, it's called fear and revulsion. So when I struggle with weight going up and down, and if I'm on my heavy side and I go on an airplane and someone's eyes go like this, I go, oh, they don't want to sit next to the fat girl. So it's not that they're afraid, it's more that they're like revolted. So I found that fascinating that you picked up on that.
Well, it's a correlation. Most people confuse fear, surprise from all the micro expressions. They're the most difficult because in both you're going to see white part of the eye. Is when you're fear of surprise, in some way you get disconnected to reconnect with your body because you're preparing to either run, defend yourself, or fight. So it's a correlation between the what part of the eye. But I would say pay attention when you see someone. You're going to see this when you see a fight on a bar. There are three things that you need to be careful when a person is about to fight. You're going to see the jaw. I was doing a case with a policeman and says, how we didn't realize that he had a knife? Did you see the jaw? He was accommodating the jaw. The police didn't pay attention. Second of all, he was doing this, pumping gas. And suddenly the white part of the eye came. You know what happened? The policeman get stopped, and he was so high in adrenaline that he didn't collapse. But after he followed the suspect and handcuffed him, he fall next to the suspect. So I was giving a training about security, and like, you didn't pay attention to the warning signs. And the guy was on the class and says like, I shouldn't have been paying attention to the warning signs. So like we always says, this is a way to be safe. If you see those warning signs, please pay attention. And if you can escape that situation, get away as much as you say. Like you says on the happy hour, Janine, when something happened, you don't congregate with everybody else to see what's going on. Get away as soon as you can from that situation. Lena, what were you saying about something that I wasn't aware about, that she have seizures?
Yeah, so I read an article where her mother, and actually was in an interview, I saw her in an interview, and her mom said, hey, you know, Caylee has seizures. Like she's sick. And I've witnessed the seizure. I've heard it in her room. And when she's done with the seizure, she can't remember anything that happened during that time. So it's odd that you saw that. Well, not odd. It makes sense that you saw that in her face, and then coupled with a medical history of some problems with seizures and blacking out, there's got to be something going on there.
Like I says, she doesn't have all the time water on the tank. So I would say that it would be really good if somebody can do a deep, real evaluation of what is going on. Again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I can read those signs. And if we start looking back in our life situation where there were violence, a person was like, I don't remember, like when they go and black out and they have a fight, I don't remember the fight. I don't remember choking the person. If you can film that, you're gonna see the white part of the eye is showing. So it makes sense putting together. Just be aware when you see that. And if you send somebody in your family, please go to check and ask for help.
And she's got like this dichotomy personality, right? So her daughter's missing, yet there's pictures of her partying and smiling and happy. And then she gets into court and she's crying and sobbing. And then the next picture, she's smiling and joking and hugging. It's crazy, right?
That's what I'm talking about, the Bambi eyelid. Like, I'm so sweet and I'm so sorry. Wearing a pink shirt. Come on, we know what trial prep. She's wearing a pink shirt and a khaki pair of pants, a ponytail showing their face, and like she crying all the time. It's a perfect setting. It was a stage for Hollywood.
Oh, of course it was. Awesome. Well, thank you, Susan. Amazing as always. Janine Driver, let's hear it from you. What do you have to tell us about Caseyanthony?
All right, so we're going to do something, Lena, you're familiar with, but hopefully even you may learn a little something new about this particular facial expression that people make, especially psychopaths. I'd love for the three of you to stay with me, the profilers, while the people at home play along, as well as I ask you a couple questions in my segment on what does Caseyanthony's face say to us. You have a psychopath in your life right now that's hiding in plain sight. Before we go deeper into Caseyanthony and her facial expression that screams danger, 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 I'd love to ask each of you a question. So we'll start with the profilers. Susan, when do you smile? When do you show happiness? Give me an example of when might you smile about something. Don't overthink it as a profiler.
No, when somebody produces me happiness.
Okay, so give me, what would be something happy? Give me an example.
Waking up in the morning, having a coffee in my backyard.
All right, having a coffee in your backyard. All right, Michelle, when might you show a smile?
I show a smile even when I'm walking on the street and I see somebody. I try to smile to let them know that I'm safe and they're safe. And
okay, good. Hello. Smile. I'm not a threat. I'm safe. You're safe. What about you, Lena? Of course, an animal comes up because I know you're.
I was like, did you time that?
Animal lover. So what brings you joy? What makes you smile, Lena?
Animals. I talk to my animals. I see animals and I light up.
You light up, and I'm a kid person. So I love kids. I'm the mother of 3 sons, and their humor, I literally in my notes write Jack-isms, Charlie-isms, and Angus-isms. When they say or do funny things, I go grab my phone and write it up because they bring me so much joy. We smile when we're happy about things, but we also smile when we're embarrassed about something. And then there's another area. We smile when it's connected with pure evil, when it's literally connected with, someone being joyful in an inappropriate situation. It literally, the smile in this moment is betraying the person's sense of enjoyment and this like weird time, right? It's deceiving. They are getting off on their deception, and it's all connected with a sense of control. So let's dive in and look at what might be making Caseyanthony smile in this video clip. This has no sound. I just want you to pay attention, profilers and you at home. Think about when might you smile. If you look at the right of our screen, Caseyanthony's in jail. This is before Caylee, her young daughter, was found, and the parents come. The parents are crying. They're devastated. They're like, they say they think that Casey's dead and that she drowned in a pool. And here Caseyanthony is, I think I said Casey, Caylee Anthony. They're saying that she thought she was dead. By the way, the grandmother is Cindy. So it's Cindy, Casey, and Caylee. So I have a little dyslexia. Susan has a little dyslexia, a lot of dyslexia, and Lena has a splash. So if you see typos here on Facebook or over on YouTube, it has nothing to do with our credibility. It has to do with our learning differences that actually makes us better profilers. So thanks for your patience with us as we sometimes say things wrong or spell them wrong. It doesn't mean we don't know what we're talking about. So what is happening here? Well, you might be surprised to learn that a lot of people who are murderers, who are psychopaths, the David Berkowitz of the world and the Charlie Masons of the world, they smile. And it is literally connected with this control. So these are some of the victims of people who literally were at the mercy of a psychopath hiding in plain sight. And if I pulled, if you take a second just to look at some of their goofy smiles, right, at these weird times, right? So we have everyone from Caseyanthony here, and we have Chris Watts, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this guy over here, but he killed 77 people across the globe. And then, of course, we know Charlie Manson, and this is a guy named Jared Lager, and then David Berkowitz, the son of Sam. And these people all smiled at inappropriate times. In our world, in the reading of facial expressions and emotions, this is called Duping Delight. This term was termed by a guy named Dr. Paul Ekman. It's Duping Delight. I am smiling in a moment where I'm duping you, And we see this a lot with some pretty crazy people. So you can see why you might be pulled into their magnetism, right? You might be pulled into this person is safe. I remember when Angus, my oldest son, who's now 15, when he was 3 years old, he was taking a nap at a hotel in Orlando, Florida. And I had a babysitter with me. We call them an au pair. An au pair is just a nanny from another country. And we had taken an early morning flight at 5, 6 in the morning. We got into the hotel. Angus and I took a little nap together before I had to speak at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we take a little nap. My au pair is in the bed next to the bed I was in with Angus. But I didn't want to wake the au pair up. So what did I do? I woke up. I quietly got dressed. I left the room. Well, guess what? Little Angus wakes up. Underneath all the blankets is our au pair, so he doesn't see her. She's buried under the blankets. What does he do? He walks down the hall, leaves the hotel room in Orlando, Florida, thousands of rooms. It's called the Rosen Center if you've ever been there. Tons of rooms. It's one of those places for ladies where you get off the elevator, it's like multiple hallways. And Angus starts knocking on the doors of different people. Can you help me find my mom? Her name's Janine Driver. Will you help me find my mom? And guess what? A man answered the door. And by what I call the grace of God, he helped Angus, didn't bring Angus in his room, but said, let me get my key, and took Angus down. He was in a little pull-up, a diaper, and takes him down to the front desk. Angus said to me when I talked to him later, he said, but Mom, the guy was really nice. And I thought to myself, wow, this is how these master manipulators pull us in with a smile on their face. This duping delight when it's an awkward situation. It is literally all about control. It is the psychopaths, the pathological person. It is their ability to control the situation where they think they're manipulating us. See, these psychopaths, they are obsessed with power over others. They're obsessed with power over others. And without a doubt, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. None of us are here at the Profiler Task Force. But I think we would all agree that Caseyanthony is a psychopath out partying while her daughter's buried in the ground, right? So it's all about control and twisted thinking. this twisted pleasure the person is getting. And if we had more time, I could go deeper and deeper. In tonight's Patreon session, if you are a member of our Patreon, big thank you for being a member. We're going to talk a little bit deeper about the Zenaida thing, because what happened was when Caseyanthony kept saying, Zenaida, 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 the babysitter has her. Why was she repeating it? What does it indicate about your brain, Casey's brain? And when you have someone in your life and they, you've done something to betray their trust and you're like, I'm sorry. And they're like, yeah, but you hurt my feelings. And they keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it after you've apologized 100 times. Why do we say the same things over and over and over again? What's psychologically, physically happening inside of our brain? We'll talk about that in Patreon. There's so much here in Caseyanthony. So Duping Delight. I say, ladies, do a favor for me as I wind this down. Go he.
He.
Happiness. Happiness. Embarrassment and evil, HEE. When someone smiles, say, is it that they're happy? Would Caseyanthony be happy? Is it that they're evil, or is it that they're embarrassed? Let's listen to what was so funny for Caseyanthony in that clip I showed you.
Let me have you speak to Mom, okay? I know she's right here. She's pulling at the phone.
Hey. Hi, sweetie. Hey, Mom. We're not doing well, Case. None of us. Lee's been sick. Dad's blown up in the media. Yeah, I heard. Someone just said that Caylee was dead this morning and she drowned in the pool. That's the news story out there. Surprise. We need to have something to go on. Mom, I don't have anything. I'm sorry. I've been here a month. Today. Understand how I feel. Nobody's letting me speak. You want me to talk? Then all right, give me 3 seconds to see something. Sweetheart. I'm not in control over any of this because I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going on. My entire life has been taken from me.
So Caseyanthony is smiling when hearing about her daughter's potentially dead. And then she gets emotional and upset and pity parties herself when it's all about her. We'll talk more about Patreon. What else did you see, especially with eye movements with Casey during this little clip? Back to you, Lena.
Thank you, Janine. Oh my gosh. So I loved the he. We teach this, but what a great acronym. Happiness, embarrassment, evil, Duping Delight. And I love the fact that you showed that clip because you know what? It ties into what what Susan and Michelle said. It's all about me. And what I said as an interrogator, I'm sorry, who cares about who did that to Caylee? Who did it? When? Why? Oh, I'm sorry. All we care about is poor Casey getting, blamed for it and doing jail time. Wow. It's just insane. Ladies, do you have any questions? Susan, do you have any questions for Janine?
No, I love about the Duping Delight and the control and being charismatic. We talk on the happy hour that serial killers and psychopaths lure you with false empathy. So it's in the same page, and how much we need to be aware when it's too good to be true. Sometimes we need to step away and see the relationship and situation from outside to make sure that we are not get lured into. Great presentation, Janine. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
If I can say one quick thing on this is that this is near and dear to my heart. My son Angus, who's my oldest, is 15. And as of us airing this show right now, if Caylee was alive, she'd be 14 years old. So I remember Angus being a little kid when this all went down. And I was on the Today Show. And the first question when Caseyanthony was found not guilty of murdering her daughter, but guilty of lying to police, the first question went to my co-guest, Dr. Gail Saltz at the Today Show, and then went to me. And the first question went to Dr. Gail Saltz, MD doctor. She's like badass, right? Is Dr. Gail, where will Caseyanthony live now that she's out on jail, out of jail? Where will she live? And she was talking about a book deal or a movie. And my face is throwing a party because the producer told me, Janine, I know you think Caseyanthony killed her daughter and got away with murder, but our lawyers will go crazy here. You can't say that stuff here. And so my face is throwing a party every time Gail's answering a question, Dr. Gail Saltz. later, I thought I killed the segment. I had no idea my face was showing such disgust and contempt. And everyone started writing to me, Lena and Susan, Michelle, and you at home. Hey, I hope you enjoyed your 5 minutes of fame. You'll never be invited back. I've never seen someone so disrespectful of another expert. It made it look like I was disrespectful of what Dr. Gale was saying, but that wasn't the case. I was disrespectful and disgusted and full of contempt over, this is the question. How come we aren't asking who murdered this girl? Where does law enforcement go from here, Janine? I'm from law enforcement. Where does law enforcement go next? Where's the justification? We get so focused on these murderers and not the redemption of and giving the people who have passed away, giving them their, due diligence. And so my face throws a party. We are all sending messages without us even realizing it, even us as a profiler. So I just wanted to give that sidebar.
And you know what, Janine? You were dead on for having that emotion. Dead on, because I would have sat there and done the same thing. And you know what? I don't care who said what about me. And if I wasn't invited back, so what? Because the issue here is who killed that poor little girl, not where's Casey going to live? I don't care. I just don't care. All right, so let's take it further. I am your statement analysis expert. And so I'm going to share some of Casey's words with you in her most recent interview that I found. So let's get into it. All right, so let's get into some hidden messages in Caseyanthony's most recent interview. So I did a screenshot because sometimes we play videos, the audio is a little bad, but I am going to give you the link to where you can listen to this on your own as well. So let's go on. All right, so first, the interview. It comes from Associated Press, and the title was, For first time, Caseyanthony speaks out about case. And it's dated March 6, 2017. Okay, that's the most recent I could find. She talks freely about lying to the cops and says, people lie to cops every day. I am just one of the unfortunate idiots who admitted to it. Okay, so that's the first thing she starts off with. I want to tell you really quick about a real world case I did. And I had the witness write a witness statement, and he stole something. So in his statement, he said, if this person, because I asked him, the person who stole this, should we cut him a break? Should we be a little lenient? Because it wasn't really a huge offense. And in his witness statement, this individual writes, well, if it was a stupid ass mistake, then maybe you could show him some lenience, and forgive my swearing. But that's exactly the words that this individual used. And when I read this statement, he was in another room. I read it. I said, oh my gosh, it was him. He made the stupid blank mistake. And sure enough, 45 minutes later, he admitted, he's like, yeah, it was a stupid blank mistake that I made. So I find it very odd that Casey chooses to use these words. I am just one of the unfortunate idiots who admitted to it. It just tells me she does consider herself to be an idiot for admitting that. All right, so let's see. Further on in this interview, they're talking about the lying. This is what Casey says. Even had I been completely truthful with those officers, and then the reporter jumps in, well, Casey, what weren't you truthful about? She says, oh, and then he follows on, and I understand it might have been out of panic. Okay, first of all, reporter, why would you feed her information? It drives me nuts as a trained interviewer and interrogator when I see reporters using leading questions, compound questions, and feeding the person information, because all they have to do is agree with what you say. Keep it to interrogatives and you're going to get some juicy stuff, and you're going to make them nervous enough, and they're probably going to slip up and tell you the truth if you're listening. So don't feed information. And here the reporter feeds information to her. Oh, I understand it might have been out of panic. So all she has to say is, yes, I panicked. But here's what she says. No, it was things that I didn't know at the time. Okay, how does that make any sense with lying to the cops, right? I'm still not even certain as I stand here today about what happened. Really? And you're now continuing on your life pretty well. We don't ever hear you talk about wanting to find out what happened to your daughter, ever. There's not once. It's, I don't know what happened. I don't know, and I don't care. So let's go on. You don't know, the reporter says. Something about drowning, possibly. Right? Again, feeding information. She says, well, everyone else has their theories. Everyone else. So what's your theory, Casey? I don't know. And she never tried to find out. And this is the one thing that bothers me the most. So your parents had her? Again, the reporter, leading question. My dad did, because remember, in the trial, she blamed her dad for sexually abusing her, which is why she covered up the death of Caylee found in the pool, which was a complete lie story anyway. The child was never found in the pool and she didn't do that. The reporter says, next thing you know, she's missing. Again, feeding information, leading question or statement. Casey says, I did what I was told. Wow. Okay. I don't remember too much of what happened. That right there, I don't remember too much, but she does remember. And so that's where, as an interrogator and an interviewer, you have got to drill down with interrogative questions to get her to tell us what happened. And no one ever did, and she never did. Casey says, no, what I remember is, now to me, this is almost like a launch into story time. Being in bed, all of a sudden, I'm going to go back a slide. What I remember is, so far up to now, she's talked in past tense. All of a sudden, she switches to present tense, is being in bed, present tense, my mom coming in before she left for work and saying goodbye to us, all present tense. And then waking up several hours later. Here's the problem I have with present tense. Sometimes, not 100% of the time, but sometimes when people are telling a story that happened in the past, if it's truthful, it's all going to be in past tense. If it's not, the truth will be in past tense and the lie will be in present tense, because typically we're making up the story as we go along. Now, sometimes people have made up stories and they have to remember it. But the initial making up of a lie, because it never happened, our brain makes it up in the present tense as though it's happening right now. And even if I have to remember this lie for 5 years, when you ask me the same question and I have to recount that lie, I typically will go back to reciting it in the present tense. All right. So it just was a huge concern for me that all of a sudden she now flips into present tense about being at the house, waking up, which her father testified she was never sleeping. In fact, the last time I saw Caylee, I was putting her in a car seat with Casey and they drove off and they disappeared for a month. Later in the morning, so Casey says an hour, 2 hours later, and not knowing where she was. Okay, if you add that up, we call it the liar's number 3, and Janine can tell you about this. Sometimes people go to quantify something, so it's 3 hours, 3 times, 3 miles, could indicate a lie because the brain makes up an easy number, and that's 3. It's not all the time. So just know when you're looking for clusters of indicators, especially verbal, it could be a trigger. I find it odd, though, that she went to present tense and they used the trigger number 3. So here, according to an interview by Crime Watch Daily with her parents on October 30th, 2017, her father said that he saw Casey and Caylee last on June 16th, just before 1 p.m. while helping put Caylee into her car seat, and they took off. So that whole story about, oh, my mom came in and someone took her and I woke up several hours later, complete lie. Caseyanthony, finally, I don't give a shit. Sorry, guys. We'll just say blank about what anybody thinks about me. I don't care about that. Wow. Okay. I'm okay with myself. I sleep pretty good at night. Well, Casey, so fortunate for you that you sleep good at night. Let me tell you something. I don't have children. I have a lot of animals. When I lose an animal, when they die, I'm traumatized for weeks. I don't sleep good at night. Now, granted, this has been quite a few years after, but she lost her daughter. And to this day, it's unsolved. If I was a mother, I would be fighting to find out what happened. Now, again, some of you may say, well, maybe that's just not her. And we all handle grief in different ways, and we do. But I have a huge issue with now she's completely moved on. She doesn't care what people think, and she sleeps pretty good at night. So again, according to an interview by Crime Watch Daily on October 30th, 2017, they said that she lied during this interview and they haven't had a decent night's sleep since Caylee went missing. This is her parents. Okay, so her parents said she lied during this interview because I watched them. And they said, you know what? We still can't sleep. So happy that she can, but we still can't. And so that's what I have, everybody. I tell you, the truth is hidden within our words. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take it back to the profilers. All right, ladies, what questions do you have for me? Susan, I'll start with you.
It's crazy because when you says, I don't have kids, but I grieve my animals, and I don't have kid eaters. 2 years ago, I need to put to sleep my dog for cancer. I have it in my Facebook picture. it's been 2 years, is a dog. And I have his ashes on the same side of my nightstand when he used to sleep next to me on the bed. And I still crying, and I still collecting money for research cancer on specific dogs. And it was a dog. So how she can sleep? I still fighting and collecting money from the place when I adopted. I'm participant, and again, was a dog. And most people who have kids says, what is wrong with you as a dog? Was for me the center of my life, make me happy. How a mother can lose a kid for 31 days and says, I sleep well. I'm sorry, I'm so disgusting, like my guts in this point are making noises because I'm gonna throw up. So take it from there. I kind of physically reject to that.
Yeah, I agree. Michelle, do you have any questions for me?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. And it's with something you said and with something that Janine said about words and how words are important. I happen to have been a little bit involved in this case, and I had just a little opinion on one little thing. And this may or may not be true, but I think it's true. Words are important. And as Janine says, people repeat things over and over again. Why did they pick that word? Why did she pick Zenaida, the nanny, will take care of my kid or be the babysitter? Zenaida. And I've always thought you don't just make a name up. It's her code word for Xanax. Xanax was the babysitter. She gave the kid some drugs. Who knows what happened? Maybe overdid it. As is a theory, the kid didn't wake up. The babysitter, she was used to giving the kid Xanax to put the kid to sleep when she went out to party. So that's my personal theory. So there. So words are important, and you don't just make something up out of the blue. There's a reason, even if it's changed a little, that's in your head.
I agree. Janine,
I just have a quick question. If for the people at home, right? So you think your spouse is cheating on you, you think your boss is lying about you, about to lose your job, you think your best friend, is, doing something wrong behind your back, gossiping. What's the layman's questions? Like if you, Lena, could give us 2 questions for people at home so they can protect their family, their friends, and their finances and make smarter choices. How can we take it out of this crime world into the everyday world? What 2 questions would you say they should be asking?
so I stick with interrogatives because they get me a chunk of
What does
information.
that mean? What's interrogative?
An interrogative question is who, what, where, when, why, how. It's not a yes or no question, okay? Because it gets me information I can work with, and it puts you on the spot to create something. But here's the other thing. I love to ask a yes or no question on purpose because truthful people have no problem committing to a yes and no. And usually they're congruent when they do it. But a liar, if they have to lie about it, they don't like to do it, right? Remember Anthony Weiner. Anthony, did you send that tweet? So I'm going to talk about having to fight this and blah, 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 blah. He never once ever could say, no, I didn't send it. Not once. So if I was accusing my spouse and my husband of cheating, I would say, hey, are you cheating on me? Because what I want to hear
is just say it. Are you cheating on me?
Yeah, I would just come on. Are you cheating on me? Have you cheated on me? Are you cheating on me? Are you a cheater? Are you seeing someone else? It's a yes or no question. If they cannot come back with 100% no, congruent no, you got a problem. You got a big time problem.
What would be your next question?
Oh gosh, it depends on the circumstance. So another good one, because I have 4 lie exposing questions, I say, because truthful people tend to answer one way and liars tend to answer next. So the other person is, hey, if I found out they were doing something, well, don't you feel that because, you had dinner with your coworker last night and I didn't know, don't you feel that someone who does that should be held accountable to their spouse? And if they say anything but yes, right, then they're making up a story. They're finding a way to say, no, it's perfectly acceptable behavior for me to have dinner with a coworker that you didn't know about and I didn't tell you. So I want to hear, no, it's not acceptable, right? So yes, they should be held accountable.
I have a guy friend that said to his girlfriend he thought she was cheating. He said, I've got an idea. We're going to play a game today. We're going to change each other's cell phones. Here's my phone. You can have my phone all day. I'd like to take your phone all day. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, we're going to play a game. I'll let you know if anyone texts you or calls you, and you do the same for me. Here's my phone. You can use my phone all day. I'd like to use your phone. And she's like, absolutely not. And she had cheated.
Wow.
I would say absolutely not, and I wouldn't be cheating. I just wouldn't do it.
There's one more question. There's one more question that I like to throw in there. It's another yes or no question. Is finally, when I'm, after digging out some information, I will just lean in and say, why should I trust you? Right? Because here's what I want to hear. I want to hear because I'm not lying to you or because I'm honest. That's it. That's all I want to hear. If there's anything else with all this, because we've been married, because blah, 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 why would I lie to you? No, that's coming into the excuse. A truthful person just flat out says, because I'm not lying to you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, ladies. I know for viewers out there, we only have a short amount of time to go through this case, and each one of us has worked on this case extensively, and there's so much information out there. We have all come to the same conclusion for years. I know that I can say I definitely believe she's guilty, and probably can speaking for everybody else. She does know what happened to her daughter, but unfortunately, because of the investigation, which is so critical, and people forget that piece, you need evidence when it goes to a court of law. And dealing for the past 5 years of really training a lot of law enforcement, that is huge. When you don't have evidence, you're stuck. And so that's a very unfortunate thing. But let me close out tonight's segment and wish you guys and thank you guys for talking about it. Well, guys, there you have it. So our profile analysis of Caseyanthony. Maybe we can change the fate of this case, maybe not. There's one thing that we are certain of, however, and that is Caseyanthony knows what happened to her daughter. And Casey, if you're watching this, I hope your conscience gets the best of you and you finally tell the world what really happened to your daughter. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight's episode. If you like what you hear, again, subscribe to our channel and join us, join our Patreon. The link is going to be below. We'd love to have you in our family. We do try to respond to all of your comments. There's some comments that we may not get to, but we always ask you guys in your comments to be respectful of one another and keep it classy. So without further ado, from all of us to all of you, please stay safe and have a great night.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.